Please be seated. Susan. Although it probably feels like just yesterday, 2 children were born into this world, and in them you saw infinite hope and possibility. You loved them, you rejoiced with them, and you cried with them too. On this day, we see them take a new step, but it's not a step away from you. It's a step with you beside them as they start their new life. They are the individuals that they are because of your guidance and your love and their patience. As they enter into this marriage, creating their own family, they bring to it the history and the lifetime of all the gifts you've given to them. This is symbolic of their deep gratitude. And we want you to know that your gifts of time and care, this has made all the difference in their lives. We thank you with all our hearts. So, Jennifer, do you support your daughter Nicole on this glorious day and welcome Patrick into your family? And Susan, do you support your son Patrick on this glorious day and welcome Nicole into the family? Fantastic. You may be seated now. We, unaccustomed to courage, exiles from delight, live coiled in shells of loneliness until love leaves its high holy temple and comes into our sight to liberate us from life. Love arrives, and in its train comes ecstasies, old memories of pleasure, ancient histories of pain. Yet if we're bold, love strikes away the chains of fear from our souls. We are weaned from our timidity into the flush of love's light. We dare to be brave, and suddenly we see that love costs all we are and will never be. Yet it is only love that sets us free. And Maya Angelou touched my angel. Before you are joined together in marriage, in my presence and in the presence of your friends and family as joyful witnesses, I will remind you of the serious, binding nature of this relationship. The traditional rite of marriage, as most of us understand it, is the voluntary and deliberate and full commitment of 2 individuals to one another, to become partners for a lifetime. Have you come here freely with no reservations to enter into this marriage? That's right. Let's begin this celebration of love and life. Welcome to everybody tonight. As we enjoy the first days of spring, we gather in joy and expectation to witness this marriage of Nicole and Patrict. Their partnership is not new, but today they start a different journey joined as husband and wife. Spring is the sweetest of seasons, fickle yet exciting. One day you have mud, the next day you have a field full of tulips. And I heard that we're going to have snow on Monday. Love is just like that too. Joyous, unpredictable, and new every day. This ceremony is a perfect testament to that. This is a partnership that was forged with thought, with time, and with emotion. It's a partnership that is intentional and well thought out, even as it thrives in spontaneity and laughter. It's a partnership of courage and trust. People will say that in the world today, couples are subjected to challenges that have never been seen before, but truly, as a committed couple, you create your own world. You create a sanctuary where your values and your ethics and your dedication to each other will strengthen you as individuals and as a family. Many of you have traveled from far and wide to be here today, and this gift of your presence, this gift is a sweeter gift than you could ever imagine. Every one of you has contributed to this moment in some way. It's so exciting to see you all in one place, all at one time. You've nurtured this couple, you've shaped them, you've challenged them. But most importantly, you have loved them through all the steps that have come before this one. You mean the world to them, and they're thrilled that you can be here. You are indeed the family that they have inherited, and the family that they have chosen. An Italian proverb says this: count your nights by the stars, not the shadows. Measure your life by the smiles, not the tears. This couple treasures their families and the legacy of those who are here today in spirit, the legacy of stars and smiles. We hear their voices in the whispering of the winds and the rustling of the leaves. Let us take just a moment to think of these beloved family members with fondness and know that they rejoice with us today. Love at first sight. It's such a compelling notion. Some enchanted even you may meet a stranger across a crowded room. We think of those glamorous love stories on the silver screen. The scene is often a smoky, elegant nightclub. There's the initial compelling attraction, some twists and turns in the plot, some challenges, and the happy ending. There you have it, the story of Clark Kent and Lois Lane, Bogart and Nicole and Patrick. Well, not exactly. It was the perfect setting for romance. The ambient fluorescent lighting, the smell of coffee and anxiety in the air. Yes, it was Ramapo College. She was in Theta Phi Alpha, and he was a member of Alpha Chi Rho. One of her friends was dating a member of his fraternity, so they would often run with the same crowd. She had heard so much about Patrick that she started to become really curious about him. I know this great guy. How many love stories have started with that enthusiastic pronouncement? How many times had she heard tell of this mythical Patrick before they actually met? His reputation clearly preceded him, but that did nothing for her nerves. She recalls that when she did meet him, she was tied in knots. But one look convinced her that this was someone who would be in her life from that moment on. Through college, navigating the world as young adults and the work world, and growing as individuals and as a couple, the relationship held true, moving from friendship to deep love. And even though they spent a lot of time on Skype, and FaceTime, and on the regularly horrifying Garden State Parkway, the struggles thrown in their path only made this relationship grow stronger. It is tempting to think that there was that specific moment that they became engaged, in the wedding sense of the word, that aha moment. But the actual meaning to engage is a little more subtle than that. Their true engagement started the day that they met, all those years ago. Because you see, the definition of to engage is to attract and hold attention. When a couple is truly engaged in heart and mind and spirit, their bond is richer and deeper and more intuitive than any beautiful ring can announce or any eloquent ceremony can express. Though a beautiful ring never hurts. From the very beginning of this relationship, it became clear that this marriage was inevitable. They simply got each other on every level. He realized that this was the woman he wanted to marry. Still, realization does not a proposal make. Like most grooms, he wanted to surprise her, which is almost impossible. He wanted it to be perfect. He needed a plan, a proposal plan. He found the perfect ring. Now, how to ask her? He wanted it to be special, but casual. And she's not a fan of flashy public displays, being the center of attention. Today doesn't count. They were planning a well-deserved getaway to Cape Cod. It was a birthday gift he'd arranged. She had always wanted to explore it. Well, they usually go on vacations with their friends and family. This would be their first real trip alone. He seemed elated, but she chalked it up to his excitement at finally getting away together. Their first night held dinner reservations for one of the town's nicest restaurants, but he suggested that they start out with a walk out to the lighthouse to see the sunset. They parked by the dunes, walked out as far as they could until they were totally alone. In an attempt to seem casual, even though he was starting to get a little nervous, he started a conversation about what their future might hold. Marriage, home together, starting a family. They had talked about this before, of course, and the possibilities were exciting, but a little endless. Ever the good sport, she was trying to soldier through with enthusiasm in her heart, but eventually she had had enough. She was hot, she was hungry, her hair and her makeup were going south. She wanted to get back and get on with the evening. She turned to the ocean to catch some cooling sea spray. When she looked back at him, she found him on one knee. Why don't we start spending the rest of our lives together right now? She was slightly in shock, with a big blood orange sun setting behind them. And after several very long seconds, she said yes. And that's how we all got to be here today, celebrating a wedding and the beginning of so many more adventures for them, and for all of you too. Patrick is bright, charming, confident. He truly believes that any challenge or dilemma that comes his way can be conquered by sheer will and determination and creative thinking. He's easy to talk to because he is a sincere and attentive listener who always tries to be understanding to the other person's point of view and always puts his friends and family first. And she says he can always make her laugh, no matter how dire the circumstances. She is tenacious, inquisitive, a woman with the energy and vision to accomplish any goal that's on her horizon. She embraces all the surprises that life offers, the huge, exciting moments like today, and the teeny tiny ones, with equal appreciation. She's a woman with grit and grace, with guts and God, and a sarcastic sense of humor that always surprises him a little bit. When we think of marriage, we think of that moment when the bride walks down the aisle. We tend to think of that as the moment of union, but truly, it's that moment when we first face the world together as married partners. We walk down the aisle to an uncertain future. We have no idea what tomorrow might bring. But today is a celebration of your commitment to stand together, no matter what twists and turns come along the way on the road ahead. Well, you've already seen this in your life together. You will see it even more clearly as a married couple. Partnerships like this clearly show us how rich life can be when we find our true soulmate. And the definition of a soulmate might surprise you a bit, because a true soulmate is the one who not only supports you, but challenges you, and in doing so brings you to your full potential as they bring you great joy. Sometimes they do this by being the polar opposite of you. Sometimes they do this by making you laugh until you cry. They don't so much complete you as they make it possible for you to complete yourself, to be the best person you can be. Your hopes, your dreams for each other and the family that you hope to create will make it so clear.
There isn't a moment that goes by that I'm not thinking of you. You are my whole heart, and I will always be yours. We have been through so much together, the good and the bad, but we always get through it together. I promise to be the man you have always dreamed of, because that is what you deserve. My sole purpose in life is to make you happy, and I will always do that. I love you so much, Nicole. Look amazing.
Patrick, thank you for being the best person I've ever met. Thank you for taking me as I am and somehow needing no instructions. How you're able to keep up with my ever-changing moods and opinions is something I'll never understand and will never challenge. Thank you for being the best friend I've ever had and teaching me what it means to be a partner. You have elevated me in every way, and there's no opinion I value more than yours. I love the way that you make the bed each morning, where we have to parachute the sheets and make sure it's perfectly aligned. I love the way you can predict every end of every series or movies we watch, long before I could ever figure it out. I love the way your dance moves can make me smile, even when I'm so angry. And I love how your smile lights up a room. I promise to love you for the kid at heart that you are, and try not to correct you on your lyrics, even if they're really wrong. I promise to embrace your neediness and try to put my laptop away as much as possible, unless I need to do lesson plans or answer a parent email, of course. I promise to be the best wife I can be and an even better teammate. I couldn't imagine my life without you, and there's no person I would want to go through the bad, the good, and the ugly with. I look forward to a lifetime of happiness, more laughter, and dancing. I love you.
Rings are an ancient symbol, blessed and simple, round like the sun, like the eye, like the arms that embrace. They're circles, for love that is given comes back round and round again. Therefore, may these symbols remind you that your love like the sun illuminates, that your love like the eye must see clearly, and that your love like the arms that embrace is a grace upon this world. Now, as a token of your promises to him, please take that ring and place it on the fourth finger of his left hand. That's the one. And now the children, please take that ring. Now, this couple has chosen a traditional hand fasting ceremony. In Europe, until the mid-1700s, few unions were sanctified in church. Rather, they were celebrated by a simple hand fasting ceremony in which the two partners joined hands over the village anvil in the fields or in a grove of trees. Today, we're going to build on that tradition, and while we don't have a village anvil, we do have two partners and a loving community. As we bind their hands together with this cord, let each and every one of you focus your thoughts on the strength that you all bring to this union. Now please hold hands, right hand to right hand, left hand to left. Take me out. When you found each other, an ancient circle was closed. You have become Anna and Cara for each other. Anna and Cara, translated from the Irish, means soul friend. Your Anna and Cara is the person who supports you and challenges you, will bring you to your full potential as they bring you great joy. Now notice that as you hold hands, your arms form a figure 8. Let this symbol be a symbol of the eternal promise that's brought into the light by the presence of the parent. Now notice too that in the figure 8, there are 2 distinct circles. Let this remind us that even though you're bound together, you are 2 separate and unique individuals. This is one of the great mysteries of love, that in the eternal circle of belonging, you can find freedom. May your love be the wellspring that nourishes you, that refreshes you, and reveals to you your innermost nature. May the warmth and generosity and creativity of your love touch everyone in your life. May you learn from each other and grow in ways that you've never dreamed of. May you surround yourself with history and future, and always be open to the surprises of tomorrow, even as you remember yesterday with fondness. May you always be ready for adventure, but may returning home be the best part of the journey. May you value relationship and realize that it is a priceless gift, a gift to be nurtured and treasured. Now the final step of the hand fasting will connect this couple together with bonds of love. For such bonds to be strong, they need support, not just from each other, but from all of you, their loving and supportive community of friends and family. The knots of this binding are not formed by these cords, but instead by your vows. May these promises shape your every day together as long as you shall live. Please repeat after me. I shall love you my whole life and no other forever. And the binding has been made. With the entwining of this knot, all the dreams, desires of love and happiness are down to your life for as long as love shall last. As this knot started, so we live. All that keeps forward, spread fibers are all the hopes, your friends and family, and your life together. So now we can celebrate this. This couple would now like to take this time to toast their new life together. It's a tradition in Scotland to toast friendship and love with Quaker. This pewter cup has 2 handles. It symbolizes love and partnership. As you both hold on to this cup, reflect on how your love for each other makes you stronger. Your marriage today is a partnership. It prepares you for all the challenges and triumphs that life will bring you. Nicole, as you drink from this cup, know that you have a husband to have and to hold. Please take a drink from this cup. Patrick, as you drink from this cup, know that you now have a wife to love and to cherish. Please take a drink from this cup. As you have shared from this cup, you have promised to share all that the future will bring to you. And may the sweetness that life brings be all the much sweeter because you have drunk from this cup together. The dew is on the heaven, for love is good, and life is long, and 2 are best together. Bless the union of these 2, eager for marriage, eager for love. May they begin life together and live that life together and come to the end together. In this circle of community, this couple has created this union marked by taking vows and exchanging rings. They've declared that they trust each other's kind intentions. They've promised to treat each other with openness, with respect, with a sense of both interdependence and independence. They have vowed to preserve this precious gift of marriage, to place this gift above everything else. The celebration today, it's just that. It's a celebration. It's not a performance. At the end of this day, after the champagne and the speeches and the dancing, after the cake is cut and your high heels are under the table and that tie is draped over a chair, you'll realize that you're married to the one that you love. And you'll know this has been the perfect day, the start of many perfect years. Again and again over the course of your lives, you will find ways to redefine the miraculous, Again and again, you'll see that happily ever after does not begin with once upon a time. It begins right now. It is my great honor and my great joy to pronounce you, I love saying that, to pronounce you husband and wife, partners and family. You may seal this union.
There ain't no use in